absolutely. Look, I think I'll still take some extra time to reflect on it and then perhaps read the judgment again and again. Yeah, it was definitely disappointing. Look, I mean, there's even an element of like a personal story to it, in that the acting judge, Govender, was my human rights professor at university. So he's the dean of law at my old alumni, the Nelson Mandela University. And yeah, look, don't want to criticize the judge, but we do believe that it was misdirected in a sense. We hadn't necessarily asked for an interdict at the hearing on Wednesday. We were asking for him to just interdict for a very short period, in terms of a rule nasi hybrid interdict type approach, where we would then come back in 7 days or 10 days, whatever the judge had determined, and then provide further expert evidence in terms of a longer agreed timetable. But it was a devastating blow, but that's law. That's the beauty of law. That's what inspires us to keep going. Look, I'm probably surprised only to the degree that it's exploded. You know, I'm never ever surprised at the kind of the activist spirit of South Africans in general, and how something large or small can really unite the country. But I would say it has been surprising to see how so many South Africans have become united in this battle. And I don't think it's firmly against Shell. It certainly isn't. I think the message is quite clear that our oceans are not for sale. And indeed, in terms of the NEMA Integrated Coastal Management Act, the entire ocean is coastal public property, and governments are the trustees. They hold the ocean in trust for our generation, for my little 11-month-old boy, and for the generations to follow. So there's a greater duty of care that is required. So yeah, I think what we'll really see the public come out will be tomorrow on the 5th of November, 5th of December rather, where they protest stage all around the whole country. And I guess it's probably not a matter of coincidence that it's also the 8th-year anniversary of the late, great founding father of our democracy, President Madiba. And it's also 8 years since the exploration rights was granted. So yeah, we shouldn't overlook the numbers ever. I guess we can only hope that it will, to a degree. I think if anything, it's been a catalyst for a significant shift in consciousness of South Africans, and we're really seeing how deeply they care for the ocean and for the environment. So look, I think that the public in general are always stacked up against big corporate companies. You know, the law often seems to favor corporates, but as we've shown, they're protectable rights here. The judge did find that we have very good prospects of actually reviewing the exploration right in itself. So yeah, I guess round one to Shell, but there'll be many more rounds going forward. I can promise you that. Absolutely. Look, and I mean, it's not the job of a lawyer to speculate, but to only look at the facts, right? So I guess that there's a longer, broader history with Operation Phakisa itself. And those are still deep wounds and scars as to what even happened during 2013 and how we end up where we are right now. But even with that said, you know, and this is all public information, you can access off the Petroleum Agency's website. You can see a map of South Africa's exclusive economic zone, so our territorial waters, which happen to be some of the most extensive for any country in the world. At certain parts, they go out as far as 300 kilometers offshore. But you can clearly see that our entire ocean has already been carved up and divvied into exploration rights. And So yeah, I think upwards of 80% of the entire coastal waters of territorial waters of South Africa have already been allocated to oil companies and gas companies. And I suppose if you measure that in the context that we've got only a few percent of our oceans that are marine protected areas, it should make it quite clear as to where the balance is and how outweighed it certainly is. Look, just I suppose there are various aspects to that. So there's obviously the judgment of yesterday. We've consulted extensively with our clients and counsel, and will be today. So we have instructions to take the matter on appeal. And yeah, I suppose we were hoping to spend the weekend preparing for a Rule Nasa interim interdict hearing in a week or so, and now we'll be spending the weekend drafting applications for leave to appeal. So yeah, on that basis, particularly because we believe that there was a misdirection insofar as the failure to grant the Rule Nasa, and then of course being mounted with a cost order in public interest litigation doesn't bode well for those type of organizations such as the third and fourth applicants, particularly in this case, Natural Justice and Greenpeace, who do phenomenal work to protect the environment. So yeah, it's disheartening to be met with cost orders. There's significant legal precedent on it already. The BioWatch principle, the Tendele matter that have gone to the Constitutional Court. So we do believe that we will also successfully overturn that cost order. Then I suppose insofar as Shell's imminent seismic surveys are concerned, there is another interdict which is being heard on the 14th of December in Grahamstown, which has been brought by Sustaining the Wild Coast nonprofit company and others, communities in the Wild Coast and small-scale fishers from Dwese Tlebe, who already have recognized customary law rights to fish. So I guess there'll be a lot of public interest in that matter. They seek an interdict. It's quite clear what the argument is, and it's on the basis that these activities are actually unlawful, prima facie unlawful. Shell do still need further an environmental authorization, so they need further rights because the law has changed in 8 years, and a proper interpretation of the law, which we believe the courts will apply in the community interdict case, if I can call it that, will find in favor, and there should be an interdict for failure to have submitted an environmental impact assessment and holding a positive environmental authorization. And that's the one aspect. There's also further aspects in terms of our National Environmental Management Act, particularly the Biodiversity Act, and regulations published in terms thereof, which are called the Marine TOPS regulations. So TOPS stands for Threatened and Protected Species, of which all whales and dolphins are. And then there's also other fishes that are protected in terms of those regulations. So you can't, for example, and these are mammals and fishes that are in that survey area. So two fishes, particularly the coelacanth and the wreckfish, you need permits to come within any distance, I think 50 meters or so of them. And obviously at the depths that the surveys are being done, it's probably impossible to detect how close or how far you are. And in that case, the precautionary principle should always apply. It's well entrenched in our law. And then, of course, you need further permits to harass whales and dolphins. So there are two elements of unlawfulness that these surveys are currently going up against. So yeah, we hold a lot of hope, have a lot of hope for the second interdict, that it will get over the line. And it will be very interesting to see how that plays out. And then the further conduct of the matter, I mean, as the judge said yesterday, we've got very good prospects of success on taking the exploration rights on judicial review. So that is what we will be preparing for as well, drafting applications for judicial review in terms of administrative law. and then also other failures to take into account our environmental legislation when those decisions were made. And yeah, I feel very confident about that case. So certainly not just about the surveys, but the broader exploration right, which at this stage, a lot of the focus has been on the Wild Coast, but Impact Africa and Shell's exploration right is effectively over the entire Eastern Cape. So there are other blocks, but they got the most significant one, stretching from the coastline to quite deep offshore. Again, it's all public information on PASA's website. So the public must go look for themselves. So the right doesn't only affect the Wild Coast waters, it also affects very sensitive marine ecosystems off of Port Elizabeth and Algoa Bay, of course, home to the endangered African penguin. So yes, it's in the broader context of it, there will be a review aimed at specifically that exploration right. And I mean, I think it's come out now in the last few days, over 20 of South Africa's top marine scientists have come out calling for a moratorium on seismic surveys. And I think there's a lot of merit in that type of consideration. So whether it has to be worked through Parliament to seek a moratorium, I think the momentum has started. And as South Africans well know, when we start and once the momentum gets going, very difficult type of nation to stop. No, well, it has begun. That much is pretty certain. So you can see also, again, public information through apps such as Marine Traffic. Obviously, you can't detect whether they've started with their sound arrays or their sound guns, but there's nothing stopping them. We had, of course, before we went to the court, it being a principle of law itself, that you must try resolve disputes outside of the court. So we had engaged extensively with Shell and their attorneys to seek an undertaking that they wouldn't commence, particularly during the month of December, and agree to some type of a timetable. But it was that typical get out of the way attitude. Absolutely. You know, I mean, I've got a shirt that I love to wear that says "Raised by Waves," a Whistler shirt, and I wear it often and draw inspiration from it. As much as I spend a lot of my time in a suit, I really do enjoy spending time in the ocean, and I think that's really what it's about. You know, it's as humanity, and perhaps that's where this shift in consciousness is leading us to really appreciate the whole, you know, and the connectedness of humanity and the oceans. And we all are one. So you can't look at the ocean as a different aspect of our existence. We're very much dependent on the ocean, and indeed water, 80% of our body and 80% of the planet. So I think it says enough that it's well worth protecting. And yeah, we'll protect it for our own, for ourselves, and definitely for the kids. Bring it on, Shell.
Thank you for watching our stories here online, and please subscribe below to become part of our YouTube community and be notified when we upload our latest content.